Hey everyone, I'm Jenny Lynn Wire, award-winning author of Steamy Small Town and Spicy Dark Romance, and your host for this episode of Here for the Romance Books. I'm so excited to welcome author Madyn Rose to the podcast today. Madyn is a Canadian romance author, whether it's a bad ex, grief of a love lost, best friends, and kick butt FMCs with cinnamon roll love interests. Her books are filled with sass, steam, and of course some drama before they catch their HEA. When she's not busy with family life, Madyn is plotting a new book, glued to a smutty book, or watching reality TV with her husband. Madyn, thank you so much for coming onto the podcast today.
Hi, thank you for having me.
So, for readers who have not picked up one of your books and they're not familiar with your work, do you want to describe the types of tropes and genres that you write and what readers can expect from your stories?
Sure. So I'm fairly small still in the author world. I've got just three books out, and the third one just came out this last week on the 21st. So it's, 5 days old. But in
New
all of my
release?
books, yeah, new release. So in all of my books, I do love messy love. Like I realize that I like that kind of story that is going to suck you in and have a lot of emotional baggage to it. But it's also going to be on the edge of rom-com and banter. And I really love strong female protagonists who really don't take a lot of nonsense. So you're always going to find those in my book, and hopefully some healing and some really good spicy scenes to keep you through the loops of it all, and take you through the ups and downs of the new love lives that these couples are trying to weave their ways through.
So I read Chasing Summers, which is your new release, and
Yeah.
we're going to talk about that particular book a little bit more later on. But yeah, full of the banter. I completely enjoyed that with the rom-com and everything else in it. So I can't wait for readers to discover your most recent release.
Thank you.
So, what is one thing that readers may be shocked to know about you? Because since you're new on the scene,
Mhm.
give us some of the funny happenstances that have occurred, during your author journey.
Oh man, I think I've made every mistake out there possible as a new author. Um, like from just not keeping track of things properly to like rushing through the process to not understanding anything about the writing process. As a green newbie, you just think, I'm going to write a book. This is going to be so great. And then you don't realize that there's literally 5 million steps between the idea of the book and getting it out there. And I've probably made all of the mistakes that like every rookie newbie writer makes. Um, and the first draft of my first book, I had no idea what a word count even was. I just kept writing and writing and writing and writing. And then at some point, I was like three-quarters of the way through the first draft, and I was like, seems awfully long. And then
Um,
I looked at the word count. It was like 150,000 words. And I was like, oh,
yeah, that's a book. Cut,
that's
cut, end.
I think I need to figure this thing out. So there was a lot of rewrites and trying to figure out what in that story I really wanted to tell. So it was a lot of back to the drawing board. So it took a little while to get the hang of what I was doing in that one. Um, so yeah, definitely made some interesting mistakes in getting through the first bit of newly joining the author world. And I think it takes people off guard because you just think there's so many different ways to like do it and just get it out there, and you wrote a book and that's it. But when you really are
Oh.
starting completely from scratch and it's your first one, I had no idea what I was doing. I didn't know what genres were and like word counts. I just know that I love to read and I love to read different things, right? So learning lesson.
It's the same way. I just celebrated my 6-year anniversary this month, and
Congrats.
I've been looking back upon my journey, and I was so clueless when I first started out, and it really is you jump into the deep end and learn how to swim, and
Yeah.
and then you realize all of the different because you're not just a writer,
Yeah.
you're a PR, you're a marketer, you're a proofreader, I mean, you've got 10 gazillion jobs you have
Yeah.
to do in order to get your book out there to readers. How are you finding that? Because with the social media
Oh,
and all the other things,
Yeah.
that you're going to have to take on. How has that been for you?
So with I think with the third book out, I definitely leaned into social media more. I think with my first two, I didn't realize how big of a role it played. And I think that's just because, I'm older and
Yeah.
I'm like social media is just for fun, but it's so much more than that, right? Like it's a different
For authors, yes. Yes,
yeah, it's a different
absolutely.
beast all on its own. And so, you're like, oh, I need to jump into these platforms and I need to really kind of market myself and really get out there and try and figure out what my author brand is going to say, which I don't like even still. I'm like, I want to change it again because I don't think it captures what I want. So it's just
Yeah.
like a never ending battle. But I do feel with Chasing Summers, I definitely leaned into it more. And I do find that I'd say a little bit more success with that. I see it more like out and about and people are talking about it a little bit more. Whereas in my first two books, I was just like, here's a book. Thanks. Bye. I was like, I
Like
don't know what
it.
I'm
Here you
doing.
go. Yeah. Oh yeah. That was also a learning experience. It took me a while to get on social media, and then it's not just one or
Yeah.
two or three, like every
Yeah.
morning.
Yeah. You're checking them and like you wake up in the middle of the night and you're like, oh, did anything happen? And you're like, this is unhealthy, but you still do it because you're just like
It
into
is.
it, right? And you just want to
I'm
be,
not into it.
oh,
So, oh my goodness, I need some of your mojo. I'm just like it's so it's a time suck,
yes.
because I want to be
Oh,
writing, but 90% of my time is making graphics about the book and then
yeah.
posting those on social media.
Yeah. Yeah,
Hmm.
it's like a big giant never-ending loop like, household chores, laundry and cooking dinner just never
Yes.
ends.
And we still have to do that too.
Yeah, you still
So, so those are more jobs that are piled onto our day.
yeah.
People think indie authors have it easy. We don't.
Oh
We
no.
don't. It's one of the
Mm-mm.
hardest jobs you can take on. It's just 24/7, 7 days a week, own holidays.
Yeah.
You never get a break.
No, no.
No.
You maybe get a couple of hours here and there to get some other stuff done, but then you're just right back in it right after.
Mhm.
So just back and forth all the time.
I know. So are there any differences that you've noticed between, because you're in Canada,
Yep.
and so are there any differences you've noticed between the Canadian and the American romance readers?
Um, I think the American romance readers are very hip to the scene. Like you guys have been like sort of doing this for a lot longer than I think I knew about even as an author. When I first started reading, especially in the romance genre, I started reading it. I really didn't know about all of the different indie author things. And that came specifically from having my e-reader. I was gifted a Kindle for Christmas because I was reading so much. And I was like, I'm tired of reading on my phone, so I want my Kindle. And the access I had to some of the authors that I'd never heard of, both Canadian and American. And then that sort of led me down this massive rabbit hole where I was like, they do author signings in America? What is this? I can meet my
Yeah.
favorite people. What is this? So I had gone to the States as a reader to a couple of events to sort of expand and see what this was. I was already on a writing path, but I didn't really see
Okay.
the whole picture until I was at one of those. And the amount of people that would be in these lines, like thousands of people at some of
Hmm.
these reading events to meet specific romance authors, and they would have like tons of stuff, was such an eye-opening experience of this is what Canada needs. This is what we really, and maybe it existed, but I hadn't seen very much of it. Because when I was looking for different events, most of everything I looked at came from the States. We are picking up on it for sure now, because even as myself, I've done several events this year. I did my first events were last year, and they're sort of exploding onto the scene now. But already in the States, like the readership was so different. And I think that's just because we didn't really do too many of them here. I know one of the really big original signings here is the readers invade the Canadian Rockies. And that's been for a
Yes.
couple of years.
Yeah.
And that was the only one I could see, but it's really like almost impossible to get into. Those tickets go like day of within minutes. Like it's crazy. Um, so I think that's a huge difference is that we're a little bit behind on that take of things. Whereas it seems like in the States had been going on for a lot longer than I think we realized that there was these opportunities to do them for, especially for indie authors. I think it's so amazing to be able to go out and meet people and not on your like traditional book tour,
Mhm.
like at the bookstores that you would normally see, to be in a room full of just specific authors is really kind of unique in itself.
So I'm curious about do you see a difference in readership of tropes? Because here, it's huge romantasy right now, huge hockey, which
Hmm.
the Canada
Yeah.
should be into, but also dark.
Yes.
So are there differences with the readership tropes in
Uh,
Canada that you can see?
I don't think so. I think the big ones that I see are again the romantasy is
Mm.
massive. Sports for sure, hockey, 100% hockey romance as a Canadian. Like hockey is all we are all over that hockey romance. Um, and dark, even at signings and stuff, I see the dark. You can tell by like the banners and the
Yeah,
different things
because
that
of
they
the
write, and
yeah.
even like the covers. Like we all pretty much stick within our zones of covers. And there's always just like so many people grouped around them and they just sell out and they just like there's so many people that are into that darker romance and the romantasy stuff that it's impressive to see. But I think the likeness between the American and the Canadians, I think we're all on pretty much the same page
Interesting.
of like common tropes that everybody's loving.
So, what is your writing routine like? So, do you have a routine at all?
No,
Mine's two
it's
cups of coffee, 6 in the morning. Let's go.
I'm a chaotic, unplanned person that just, I try and squeeze it in when I can. Um, it just, between work life, mom life, the balance, it's hard to, put those words to paper. I do have a bit of a routine. I definitely leaned into sprints when I was writing these books. I found that I can't dedicate 2 or 3 hours to sit at the computer and try and bang something out. And even on the few days that I do have that time, I get nothing done. I scroll social media. I'm like, oh, I need to make graphics. Oh, I need to do
Huh?
this instead. And then I've got no words written, but I did make two pretty graphics. Like
Uh-huh.
it's just
Yep.
like I can't seem to do it.
That
But
sounds so
if
familiar.
yeah. But if I jump into a writing sprint where I'm like, okay, I've got 25 or 30 minutes, I'm going to see what I can get done. I'm way more productive in those 2 or 3 sprints in a full day than I am sitting at a computer for like a few hours. Like it just
That's
seems
because
to
I'm the exact opposite. I tried sprints and I couldn't write. I couldn't write.
interesting.
And so I
It's
stopped doing them because it was just so distracting. I couldn't
yeah.
think. So
I
that's interesting that, how so, because I have a lot of author friends who do sprints.
yeah.
And they're like, "Do you want to come?" I'm like, "No."
Yeah. I do find that the sprints, but I've got to find sprints that work at like my timeline
Mm,
sort of
yeah.
that works for me. So sometimes it's not always easy. Sometimes I just kind of set my own sprints, but there's a couple of groups that do either sprint like in the mornings or in the later evenings that make it easier for me to jump in for 20, 30 minutes and kind of get stuff done. But if it wasn't for those writing sprints, I'd probably get nothing done at all just because there's no, like by the time, especially like if you have any kids, you just, by the time the end of the day comes, you just look so forward to crawling into bed, like your brain
You're
can't
you're
function
so
and I'm just
tired.
done.
Yeah. Oh yeah. No, I'm just like, I'm done. Leave me alone. I want,
Yeah.
an hour of mind-numbing,
Yeah.
TV with my headphones on. Don't talk to me.
Yeah. Jump into a book. I'm hiding in my room. I'm like,
Hmm.
I just need downtime. Like, I just want to be left alone for a few minutes.
So, what was the hardest scene for you to write out of your three books that you've written so far? Was there a scene that was like
Oh,
really difficult to get through?
yeah, definitely. probably two of them, one for each. One of the two books, Chasing Hearts, has a really emotional scene in it. It's a single mom book, and her baby daddy is a bit of a villain, let's say. And so there's some scenes with him that were a little bit harder to get through. That you wonder why would you put something like that in the book, but I think it's important for everyone to know that everyone's struggles are different, and sometimes these struggles do exist, and how to overcome them is a big thing. And then in my dating book, My Trouble with Dating Lexi, she's a widow, but it's not on page, but she's young and a widow. So it's sort of like, how do you rebuild from that? And it's not something you expect to have to do, right? So there was some really good emotional scenes in there, just from her perspective of a little bit of kind of like guilt of wanting to move on, and feeling like it's a bit of a betrayal, but needing to do it at the same time.
Yeah, my Reflections of You is about a widow trying to move on. So oh,
Yeah.
ugly cry,
Yeah.
ugly cry. So emotional. So absolutely, those scenes. But oh, when they get the reader and you evoke that emotion that you wanted
Yeah.
from, oh, it makes all those tears worth it. Writing it to
Yeah.
just to have their tears to refill your cup is what I tell
Yes,
people.
exactly. It's like it's a good emotion to have, to, that these people are, you know, fictional people, but real people at the same time, that they've gone through these instances at some point.
And that they're able to connect with your
Yeah,
characters and your world and your writing to an
exactly.
author is priceless.
Yes, absolutely.
So, which book of yours would you recommend for readers to start with? Because it doesn't have to be the first book. So, which one would you
Oh,
say, here, that you're going to love this one?
I think it depends on the reader. Like, I'm really good at like trying to tailor it. Like, if you're a mood reader and you're like, I really just need to laugh, I'm going to tell you to go for Chasing Summers, because there's some good banter in there and it's really made for
Excellent
more
banter.
rom-com. Yeah, if you need something where you need to hate somebody, then I'm going to say go with like Chasing Hearts. Like, you need someone to be angry with and like get some of that deep emotion out, read that one. And
What
if you want
got you hating
something,
that one?
well, no, it's like you're not hating, but like if you need to like be angry with someone and just like you have this like dark emotion where you're just like, I can't deal with a fluffy rom-com right now, then like the
Okay.
baby daddy in this book is such a villain that you're like, oh, I want to throat punch him. Like,
Okay.
you just want to be able to
Okay.
get
Got
through
it.
that. And then of course with my dating book, it's a bit of a different take, because she doesn't just date one person. She goes through a lot of men, but three main characters. So she dates her best friend, the best man, and her boss's brother, all of which have a different connection. And you have to go through the process with her to see who it is that she wants to date and who
So
she,
it's not a
if any
poly.
of them. No, it's not Polly,
Okay.
and it's not Why Choose. She actually goes through the process of dating them, and you'll have to figure out how things go the way they do. I can't give too much away because that's a part of the journey in that book. But yeah, like if you really need like a dating romance that's got a little bit of definitely some spice in that book, but you're looking to more like I'm in the dating world, then that's probably a good book for you to pick up and read. So it just kind of depends what you're in the mood for.
Okay. So, what has been the biggest lesson you have learned as an author? We kind of touched on this by digressing in the beginning, but do you have, any other lessons that you have learned that, you could give advice to another debut author?
Um, I want to say write what you want to write. I mean, we all want to cater to like mass marketing and stuff, and we all want the next, most popular book. Like, I don't think there isn't a person who hasn't loved the Off-Campus series, which took a long time for, to come out. Between book to movie was a long, or to series, was a long time to come out. But write what you want to write, because you will always find your readers when you're writing things that make you feel good about
Mhm.
writing them.
I agree.
Um,
Yes.
and they might not be the most popular ones on the charts. Like my books are definitely not the most popular on the chart, but they're books that I wanted to write for stories that I wanted to tell. And I think that's important to keep a hold of your voice because it's so easy to get drowned out in a lot of other um, things that happen. And it's so easy for people just to be like, oh, I don't like it, move on, that's fine. But I think, learning lesson is to write whatever you love to write because there's more passion in your storytelling with that than there is generically.
So I'm going to kind of pull on that thread a little bit
Mhm.
because with me looking back over my author career, a lot of times more experienced authors have said it's a business.
Mhm.
It's a business. And I'm just like, if I make it a business, then I lose the love of writing. And it
Right.
becomes a job and
Mhm.
not a passion. What since you're, more of a newbie on the scene,
Mhm.
how is your take on that?
I think to a point, it's correct. This is, at the end of the day, this is a business. We're out here trying to sell our books in any
Mhm.
regard, in any way, whether we sell, 100,000 copies or 5 copies, it makes a difference to us in any capacity, right? Someone is reading what we've put out there for them to read. Um, and would I love my book to be the next big hit? Absolutely, we all would. That's like the big dream that like I'm not kidding to say that you don't. But I also think that when you have the chance to write what you write, I think it's good. And I think that a lot of really big authors, if you talk to them, they can write whatever they want now. They could write any story that they want to, and people will read it because they've built that level up. So maybe they started with what they wanted to, and then they went mainstream to gain more popularity. But now they could probably write anything that they want to, and people will just
A
come
lot of them
flying to the
have
books and
switched to
love it.
romantasy, like,
Yeah.
Devney Perry has, now
Mhm.
switched and yeah.
So I think that if, not to quote a really old movie of Field of Dreams, but if you write it, they will come. If you build it, they will come. Like if people love your writing, they're going to love what you write no matter what. And I think that that's, a good learning lesson, is that, you know, I also like some of the advice I got in the beginning was stick to a genre and write it well, like stick to one type of storyline. And I'm not really good at that. That's why my books are so
Either.
different.
I'm
And
not.
I
I am
don't
like
want
all over the
to.
road. I'm not
Yes,
staying your
I
lane,
don't want
girl.
to. No, I do not want to. And I love one of my favorite authors, that's like an auto-buy author is Megan Quinn. She is like the queen of rom-com to me. I will just like I think I've ugly cried and laughed and like startled people from laughing hysterically in small spaces at her books when I'm reading. And she writes everything. She writes sports, single parent. She writes small town, musical, rock star. It doesn't matter. She writes what she writes, and I will read all of it. It doesn't matter to me because I love her writing. And I think that in any capacity, if we just write it, they'll go that way. I think that if you love writing sports romance, then that's your thing. But if you want to branch out and write small town, then you should be able to. There shouldn't be a pigeonhole on what you have to write because then I feel like every book is going to be the same. Like
Yeah.
eventually it'll kind
Yeah.
of just recycle itself, and you don't necessarily want to do that.
Yeah. That's I've always told debut authors, it's write your story. There's always going to be a reader out there who wants to read it.
Mm, yeah.
And that seems to be the same message that you're
Yeah.
conveying to debut authors. Yeah.
I
No, I
think
absolutely agree. Because if you're not
like
happy with what you're writing,
yeah.
you're going to be able to tell it. A reader is going to tell whether you like what you're writing.
Absolutely. There's one of the takeaways I had in one of my in Chasing Hearts when they were writing it, they're like, "Oh, I can tell this person must have existed at some point in your life, in a real life, because you can really feel that emotion coming through of this book," which is interesting to me because I hadn't really thought of it that way before. But if readers can feel it, then obviously then that's the right track, right? Because that's the goal that you want is them to feel anything, not just be like that book can't just be forgettable, right? Now I know everybody reads tons of books, but there's always going to be something you want something to linger about a character,
Yeah. For
good
for
or
some
bad.
yeah, for it to evoke a memory going, yeah, I remember that book,
Yeah,
or that
exactly.
character.
Yeah.
So how has so we kind of touched on the social media aspect, and
Mhm.
you've said that you've kind of jumped down the rabbit hole
Mm.
because of it. So how do you think social media has changed the way you're now connecting with new readers?
Oh, I think it has been such a game changer. Just to see, even in the short span of the progression between my first book to the new release, the people that have um, been involved in even just helping me get it out there have changed. People who followed me through from the first book have been out there. But I think that in the last book, having, really sort of tailored graphics and understanding what the book is and trying to keep it all the same and really working on things like the quotes and understanding what it is that people want to see to grab them and hook them into a book has
Hook
been
'em.
a game changer because those are so hard to figure out. And it's not like I'm viral or anything like that, but the fact that like I'm leaning into it more, the amount of readers that I've had that I didn't have before is amazing. Um, I remember when I did my first author signing last year, the one of the first few people that came up to the table um, knew who I was, and I was like, "Huh? I'm sorry, wait, me? No, no." And
You're
she's
like,
like, "Yeah, I just read your book in my Kindle." And I was like, "Oh my God, thank you so much." Like this was a complete stranger. It wasn't like my family or my friends who had come up. So it was so amazing to see that because of social media, this person knew who I was.
oh, that's
Um, and
wonderful.
and I was just like, thank you. Like that just totally made me feel incredible about, all the effort that you put into social media for it to
Yeah.
get like 12 views, you know?
Yeah, I mean, readers would be just surprised at that one little thing
Yeah.
that they give back to the author for appreciation. It literally changes our world
Yeah.
in that moment, and it just makes us so happy.
Yeah. I
Um,
was completely wowed by this little thing that's changed that, helps like just one little thing. And I was so over the moon. It was incredible. And it was because of some posts or things that had circulated. So I mean, I can't get any better than that. That's like the high.
Oh, so good. So I want to jump into your most recent release, which is
Mhm.
Chasing Summers, and I had the pleasure of being able to read that before it released, and I loved it. I thought it was a great story.
Thank you.
So it is kind of a spicy baseball romance with some fun tropes like fake dating, reformed playboy who loses his heart to the right woman. So, got to do that. Lots of sassy banter between the MMC and the FMC, which was very cute. Josh and April, and a little bit of rom com and second chance since the main characters almost hooked up at. So, you find out that they almost hooked up at one point in the past.
Yeah.
Um, so give me your best elevator pitch that will convince readers to add Chasing Summers to their TBR.
Um, oh God, this is a tricky one.
I know, put you on the
Oh,
spot with this one.
right. I'm like, this one
No, I
I'm
hate
never
elevator
prepared for
pitches.
this.
I completely go blank.
I know. I'm just like, oh, what's going to make you want to read this? I mean, honestly, I think if you're looking for a good elevator pitch, it's going to be one, it's baseball and fake dating. And there's not just spice in it, there's chemistry and a really good um, emotional toll that the couples go through. And I think that if you need something that is just going to make you kick and squeal and then want to scream at them for 5 minutes, this is going to be something that is it for you.
I really like, sorry, I'm gonna like jump off the off ramp here.
Yeah, no
Um
worries.
I I really liked in the book how, because you don't know that they almost hooked up in the past until
Mm.
later on. But I like how they're friends
Yes. Yeah.
first. There's just something, but not just a friends to lovers thing. There's just something between the two of them, that kind of has them gravitating toward one another even when they're trying, they're living
Yeah.
their own lives, but there's just something in those chapters they keep gravitating toward one another, and I really like that for some reason. I don't know why. So
Oh,
it
thank you.
well, you're welcome. It was organic. It was kind of like I this is how people should fall in love.
Yeah.
It's not the I look at you and insta love kind of thing.
Yes.
It's the I know you, I know all your flaws, I know, all of this stuff, and I really like you anyway. So
Yeah.
yeah.
I think writing Josh and April was such a good experience. And I almost feel like I hate saying it, but I almost feel like I barely remember writing it because it just felt so like it wasn't forced. Sometimes when you have to sit and
Okay.
think about
Mhm.
how do I make these people do this? How do I make them have to spend all this time together? How do I do these things? And their story just kind of flowed in a different way that it didn't feel like, what do I do next with them? It just kind of took over the page themselves and said, "Hey, hold on, we got this. We'll work on this part over here."
I'll write this for you. You go take a
Yeah,
break.
don't worry about it.
So, well, okay. So, how long did it take you to write Chasing Summers?
Chasing Summers took a little bit. So it probably took me a good, I want to say just over a year and a bit, because I'd gone back and forth between projects and I've paused the project. So I'm terrible at getting to the quarter way mark and then being like, do I really want to do this? I'm not sure. So then I like backburnered it and started something different. And I was working on, different storylines at the time. And I was still, when I started Chasing Summers, I was still trying to get out The Trouble with Dating Lexi. Like I started book 3 before book 2. And I tend to write out of sequence. Like I don't finish a series. Because when you first start writing, they tell you don't write a full series if you're going to try traditionally publishing because you don't know if it's going to get picked up. So take your mind off of it and start of a different book. So that's what had happened with The Trouble with Dating Lexi. And then I decided the indie route was better for me. So then I went back into Chasing Summer. So there was a bit of a gap between the books. So it did take me a little bit longer to write that one, just because I had sort of put it backburnered it and then picked it back up. So yeah, that took a little bit of time there.
It's I've learned to be kind to myself when it comes to that because I came so close to burnout a couple
Mm,
of years ago because, I felt so much pressure to do Amazon wants you to publish every 90 days in order to stay relevant in their algorithm
yeah.
kind of thing.
Whew.
And then now I'm just like, no.
Yeah.
No,
No,
it gets done when it gets done.
yeah, I think that's part of the indie luxury is I get to choose my timeline.
Yes.
Um, with Chasing Hearts, actually, I was hybrid author because it did get picked up by a small digital publisher. I was very fortunate that I had these wonderful publishers, Parcel and Page, so they picked it up. And when it came to Chasing Summers, we went back and forth a little bit on the book, but we really had difficulties with the timeline and getting the book together. And they were kind enough to release me for the book. So I was able to take my own path on Chasing Summers. And then once I knew that I was able to go ahead and publish it when I wanted to, it was really sort of full guns blazing to get it out the door for the July like I
Baseball
really
season.
wanted it
Yep.
out. Yeah, baseball season, and I really wanted it out this summer. So then it was really like all hands on deck to push this book through to make sure that it got out. Which the people that I worked with were absolutely incredible, from my editors and designers and character arts and cover artists. They helped me get to my deadline so quickly, and I just can't be more thankful for people who were able to do
Good.
those things. Yeah, so it
Yeah,
was
it
really
takes a village. I mean,
Oh, it does.
we're a lone mountain, but it does take the village around us.
Yeah, it absolutely does. I am so incredibly grateful. And, with Chasing Summers getting out, one of the things is I learned is I kind of like outsourcing. I really like not having to worry about, my formatting or getting the cover done. With Dating Lexi, I designed my own cover, and I think that took way longer than it absolutely necessary to do. Just the brain power of what do I want it to look like? What color scheme do I want to go with? It was so hard. But then when I put out Chasing Summers, the cover, I was like, I had this idea for it, and I found this amazing cover artist, Lauren, and she instantly, like, first draft, she's like, "Here, was this what you were thinking?" And I was like, "Oh my God, that's exactly it." And it was just, I was like, wow, that was like the quickest thing that had ever happened, like so fast.
You're like,
I was like,
done.
I'm a fan of this.
So there is some hilarious banter in Chasing Summers
Mhm.
that is not just between the main characters, Josh and April, but also with the supporting cast of characters because Josh
Yes.
has his man friends, his, the guys, and April's
Yeah.
got her girls. So what was your favorite scene to write
Oh,
where there's, just that hilarious banter going on?
I'm definitely a fan of the bromance books. I definitely think that guys who have their guy friends and they kind of give them a bit of attitude about their decisions and
Yeah.
stuff. I definitely think that that is a really good, fun scene to write. I think for the guys and this one, I think my favorite scene to write for them was the first scene with the poker scene of really kind of laying down the rules.
I
And
was
you
thinking you were
really
going to say
kind,
that, so
yeah,
ding
you
ding for me. I got that one right.
I think you just really get a good cast of
Yeah.
who they are in that scene. And, I think even not having read the supporting cast from Chasing Hearts, like you kind of get the overview of who they are. And I think that that was just a really fun moment to write. And Nora, my favorite scene is probably the cake scene where, after the whole break up with the boyfriend, and she's like, "No, we always have cake in this house." And there's some explicits in there too, but like um when she
That's
writes
right. I
that
remember that
just,
line. Yes.
yeah, she's just like, you really understand like what she's about and that she's going to be your ride or die. I mean, she's also got some good one-liners that a little bit down the road,
Yes.
especially when, Josh comes to the door and he's knocking and she's like, "I don't think so. Like, do we hate him or do we love him? What are we doing here?" Like, I think that she's just a good character all around.
So when I was reading the book,
Mhm.
at first I was like, oh, this is nice, slow burn chemistry, and there's so much playfulness between Josh and April, and they're just so adorable. And then all of a sudden, bam, things go like super spicy in the best way possible. So, what was your favorite Josh and April spicy scene in the book?
Oh,
Oh,
so I'm gonna say my favorite scene is the mirror scene. I think
mm,
writing that and the lead up to the mirror scene, the whole trench coat scene just before, I
yes.
think that
Oh, that
that
was so
was
funny.
my absolute favorite spicy bit to read about. And I just think that I just, man, I loved it. And some of the like reader reactions when people read it, they were just like, "Oh my God, like I can't believe that." And I was like, that's the best reaction.
So you also touch on more sensitive topics in the book,
Mhm.
like bullying and emotional abuse, like April's sister's character. Oh, May. Oh my gosh, she was horrible. And then, so delving into those deeper topics and what is more of a rom-com book
Mhm.
in a lot of the parts. How important was it to do that? To break up the funny with the more serious? And second question, how important was May and April's character development? Because as you read the book,
Mhm.
you learn the stuff that May had done to her, and that kind of made her how she was,
Yeah.
her thought processes and how she reacted to situations as an adult.
Yeah. Um, sibling rivalry is always a thing. And sometimes you get good fun out of it, and sometimes you just get sort of like your typical razzing. And then other times not so much. It's more on the borderline of horrible
Emotional abuse,
relationships.
yeah.
And,
Yeah.
I think the importance of breaking up a little bit of the rom-com really kind of came with trying to build the story. I think that when you're trying to do a fake dating story, there's a really good balance. You have to find a really good reason that two people would enter into a fake relationship. And for the reasons why, I really liked making it sort of a believable scenario. And at first you think, oh, it's her family. It's not that big of a deal. And then you meet her sister and the cruel, horrible things that she says. And you're like, oh, I get it now. Like, and sometimes you don't want to take the high road in being the sibling. Sometimes you just want to do better, and you want to show them up and stand them up and say, no, I can do this. Thank you very much. Even if it was fake for all intents purposes, the chemistry between Josh and her was real. So I think that that was an important part of the story. And for the character growth, I think it was important because I think when April really sort of learned to stand up for herself against them, she built that confidence into herself. And sometimes, it takes that moment of really trying to not back down and to stand your ground, that it really sort of changes you and your perspective, and it gives you more confidence in any capacity anywhere with that. So I think that that's like a really good lesson for anybody.
So, switching to Josh, um,
Mm-hmm.
his kind of journey, he starts out as a huge playboy, and like huge playboy at the very beginning of the book, because he's like, woman after woman after woman after woman.
Yeah.
And he's like, I'm allergic to even the thought of falling in love. So, but you start weaving these little instances where readers
Hmm.
see his really soft side and his protective heart when it comes to April, like nobody else. It's when it comes to April. Um, so describe Josh's journey from rake to romantic in the story.
Oh, honestly, I love Josh's journey. I know that in the beginning he's a bit of a jerk. And those I think I think part of my favorite parts of this book are his dating scenes. They are just so laughable and so
Awkward.
um
They were so
awkward. And
awkward. Oh my gosh.
yes, they were absolutely horrible dating scenes. And uh, I just think that putting him in this predicament made him lose his like kind of like his finesse, it knocked him down a peg to say, hey, wait, maybe you're not as great as you thought you were. When it really comes down to it, having a playful thing here or there is one thing, but to really kind of get into it and to really have to develop feelings for someone, I think that that was a good balance for him in character growth. And I think with April, it was so organic because they had that little bit of history, they had this bit of mutual understanding for each other. And I think it really came down to respect for each other. Like they work together, they have this, I wouldn't say like sexual chemistry in the beginning, but they definitely have this soft spot for one another. And it was really easy to build on that soft spot for her because it felt like it was just the right thing to do for them. Like you can't go from 0 to 60 with someone and make it believable. Like you need to weave those little pieces in and out. And I think that it kind of gave him hope to be like, hey, wait a minute, there's someone right in front of me that I've really been trying to get to, and this is my chance to do something about it.
I really like how you said respect because he did in the story. With all of his crazy one night dating scenes in the beginning, just it's really hard to explain as a reader and an author.
Yeah.
But but you hit the nail on the head with he really respected April. I mean, he was in awe of her and what she did in her job, and she was like the first person he would go to for things because he respected her opinion. And I mean, it was a really good relationship to see grow throughout the story.
I'm glad. That's such a high compliment from you. Thank you so much. I don't even know what to say. Just thank you. I'm
Okay, well,
all
since
like,
you don't know
oh,
what to say, we will jump into the fun part where I ask you a
yeah.
couple of fun questions. So, what is your all-time favorite romance trope?
Oh, I haven't written it yet, but I am definitely a toucher and die girly. I love
Mm.
that protective person. And, whether he's morally gray or whether he's a billionaire and he just he is not for games. And he's like, no, I'm all for that. And if you mix it with a little bit of enemies to lovers, done.
Oh, yes. Yep, 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 yep. Yep. So, what is one trope that you will never get tired of? So, like, if you had your choice of a library, that and those were the only
Mm.
books that you could read for the rest of your life, what trope would you want all your books to be in?
Oh, I'm probably going to say I actually really love the whole second chance romance
I love
vibe.
second
And I
chance.
think
Yes.
all of my books have a little bit of that in it. Like Josh and April is really light because they just have a little bit of a hookup before that. Chasing Hearts, it's not with her ex, but it's rebuilding from a very damaged, toxic love that is in her first one. And then in, Dating Lexi, she's a widow. So it's not second chance with those characters, but it's definitely learning to heal through something. And I think in any second chance book, that is the big lesson, is that you are learning to heal and forgive whatever
Feel.
happened in the
Mhm.
past to move on. And I think that that is a really big trope that you can do 100 million ways and it can still get eaten up. And it's not never a boring trope.
Oh, I love it. I love second chance.
Mhm.
Yeah. So I have a lot of second chance in mine. So
Yeah.
okay.
It's just, they're
One
so
fictional book
versatile.
boyfriend. I'm sorry?
It's so versatile. Like you could just do so
Yes.
many good things with it.
Yes, it is. Okay, I mean, you can just flip it and
Yep.
just take off in any direction you want to. And because of it being second chance, you kind of have a history you can build on as well, which I really
Exactly.
like, particularly, because I do small town, but I also do dark wide shoes. And my wide shoes where they have a past is so much easier for me to write when you
Okay.
have multiple characters than if they're just meeting for the first time. Because, you have
Yeah.
all that good, yummy substance to
Yes. Yeah.
grab on
It's
hook.
like
Anyway,
having a bridge, a building bridge, like that
mm,
paths, like you from the sides, you've got something to work with already.
yeah, anyway, I'll shut up about that. What is one fictional book boyfriend you would want to meet in real life? And it can be from your books or it can be from another book that you've read. And if you were like, I want that guy to be real so he can be mine, who
Uh,
would that be?
um, I'm gonna probably say that my favorite all-time book boyfriend was in Megan Quinn's Boss Man Bridegroom book, the Charlie and Wrath couple. There's something about him that just hits like all of the boxes. He's kind of like that guy that doesn't like anybody, and then for her, he wants nothing but like the moon and the stars, and he just does everything. And with her side character of her grandmother and the way he is with her and how he treats, like I just that's it. That's like the character book boyfriend that I would be like, that's a pretty good one. Helps
That's
he's a
mine.
billionaire, but you know.
So, can you tease what is coming up for you and your books, maybe for the rest of the year, going into 2027?
Yeah, I mean, like every other author on the planet, I've got like 17 million open whips in my head of things that I want to try and get
Unfortunately,
done that are
yeah.
battling
Yeah.
that are battling for first place. I have been working slowly on a new book that is a Christmas style book.
Oh,
It's Small Town. It is another sports romance. It's kind of leaned by itself into hockey, but not in current hockey, like an ex-hockey player. So there is some, Canadian isms and shinny pickup hockey is definitely in there. So that is sort of one of the ones that I'm working on. And then
I
I
don't mean to
have
interrupt you. So,
been
are you going to release that one this Christmas?
I don't know if it'll be out for this Christmas. I'm definitely working on it, but I am a bit of a slower writer. If I can get my head down and focus, I might be able to. Now that Chasing Summers is out, there's a little bit of the pressure off because there's, as you know, there's so much to do with a release that it kind of sucks up all your time and energy. But I'm definitely working on it. So
Okay.
hopefully, and then there may or may not be another Twisters book coming at you. So, but that'll be for next year for sure, because I definitely won't have time to do both. But yeah, so there'll be another character, beloved character from the Chasing Summers, Chasing Hearts world that'll come at you. That'll be a baseball romance.
Any book signings you're going to that say, come
Yes,
with
so
me?
yeah, this year I've got a couple left on the books, all like local author events. I have Love Among the Pages in September, and then I have a couple of Pages and Pleasures events, which are always a very good time for everybody. So there's one in November in Ancaster and one in December in Hamilton. And then the Indie Fusion Book Con, which is here in Toronto, is another one. And then next year for 2027, I'm actually going to be partaking in the HEA Fest out in the UK, in England, and the big book event that's
So you're
happening
flying
out
over.
there. So, yeah, I'm going to fly over, and that's going to be my first trip to England. And I am so ecstatic about that event. It's a very large event. So we'll see how that works.
Okay, well, I want to wrap everything up and tell you thank you so much for joining me today on the podcast.
Thank you for having me. It's been wonderful.
So, if you're interested in Madyn's books, I am going to put a link to her website and her most recent release, which is the one that I read, Chasing Summers, and that's going to be in the description box below. And until next time, everybody, happy reading.